Hi Allah. Good morning. Hi Sirisha. Hi Mangala. So, am I audible to everyone? Sirisha and Mangal. Hello. Hi Sirisha. Okay. See, I need your reply also. Are you able to talk now, Sirisha and Mangala? Hi Sirisha. Able to hear me? It's okay. I hope everyone is practicing well. Okay. So, if anyone is not practicing, so please start practicing because we have completed all the Java concepts and Selenium WebDriver concepts and automation project creations. So now, before attending the interviews for automation test engineer or automation testing position in Java Selenium, so everyone need to practice Java programming examples in all the concepts like in polymorphism, inheritance, abstraction, interfaces, and also collections like array list, hash map. So all the collection classes. So need to practice in Eclipse IDE. Okay. Without practicing the Java programming examples, it is very difficult to get the jobs and to crack the interviews because most of the interviews they will ask you all to share the screen and to they will give a they will ask the questions and they will ask to write the logic for the concepts like method overloading, overriding, or collections classes like array list, hash map. So they'll give a question in these concepts and they will ask you to write a simple logic. So without practice, it is very difficult to crack the interview to get the job also. So please practice. I hope everyone is practicing. And similarly in Java, Selenium also, WebDriver, they will ask the questions like anyway, I will show the questions. I will share the screen after in a few minutes. Before that, I'm just telling high level. In Selenium WebDriver also, the interviewer will ask you questions for automation testing position. So what locators you are using for inspection of web elements and web applications like XPaths, CSS selectors, ID, tag name, class name. So like that, you need to tell, and they will ask you to write some logic by using XPath how you are inspecting element. So you all need to write a single one or two lines of code how we are finding like a driver dot find element of okay by dot XPath of. So we can use a text method, contains method in XPath. So we can write a simple logic in interview. So that is the reason without practice it is little difficult to crack the interview. So in the Selenium they may ask the questions like how you are inspecting the frames, how we are switching to the frames, how we are performing actions on the frames in your web applications. So we need to tell we can switch the frames based on the we can inspect the frames first and then we can switch the frames based on the identify frame ID, frame name and all. And we have methods also to switch to frame and to perform the operations after switching frame. We need to explain and they will ask to write a logic and you need to write a logic, one or two lines. The same way, interview will ask you how we are switching windows in a web application like in Amazon. If you click some links and all right, it will open a one or two browser windows, new windows. So in any web application, when it is opening multiple windows, browser windows, uh, 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 to go to the corresponding functional pages, okay, of that web application. So they will ask you how you are switching to Windows in Selenium. So we need to explain them like we have a get window handler method, get window handles method. So get window handle is for the current window, it will identify, get it, and get window handles it will we can get the list of windows, and like that we need to explain, and then they will ask you to write a simple logic. So we need to write a logic. So before to write a logic, we need to practice. Okay, in Eclipse to take a simple applications like Amazon, Orange HRM, any application, open source applications in internet. And they may ask you what kind of wait statements you are using in your project. Example, implicit wait, explicit wait, fluent wait. Mostly everyone is using the dynamic explicit wait only. Okay. So sometimes we can go for fluent wait, but mostly the explicit wait is a dynamic wait. So don't mostly we won't use implicit wait. Okay. So it's absolute. That means it will take some time to wait for the whole page. That's why we won't go for the implicit wait. We'll go for the explicit wait based on the conditions. So we need to explain how we'll create the WebDriver wait object, how we will wait for the condition, wait dot after creating WebDriver wait object, wait dot until of expected conditions. That specific methods will be there. Element to be located, element to be clickable, something in expected conditions class that we need to explain, and we need to write a logic also. They will ask you to write a logic how you are using explicit wait to identify some web element on your application and to click a button or something. So for that you need to practice to answer that questions and to write the logic. So the same way in a Selenium interview, Selenium questions, right? They may ask you like whether in Selenium automation project are you using any test ng annotations, okay, for execution purpose. So you need to practice the test ng annotations, like at before method, at before test, at before suit, at before class, at after method, at after test, everything. We need to understand the annotations and what is the purpose of each annotation, how we can use while writing the test cases. Okay. So at the rate of test means one each we can consider one test case. So for every method in the test function in application functionality, we'll create one test method in test.ng. So at the rate of test is a test.ng annotation. So like that, we need to practice test.ng also. And they may ask you, interviewer, how you will do parallel execution. Parallel execution is nothing but when you want to execute in your project, automation project, you have created around 150 or 100 scenario for the regression suite. So you want to execute all the 100 test cases in the regression testing. Then we need to go for parallel execution. So we can open two or three browsers, thread count. If you are giving thread count two or three, you will open the multiple browsers. Then we can split, it will split automatically, it will split the number of test cases in all the two or three browsers based on the thread count. So in test.ng, we have in suit tag the parallel keyword, parallel equal to tests or classes or methods we can give anything. So we can run the parallel classes parallelly, we can run the methods parallelly. So like that, we need to mention along with the thread count. So that's why that is how we need to explain in interview, and you need to explain how you are doing parallel execution in your project. So in Selenium, they may ask this kind of questions. So that is the reason we need to practice it. Okay. Now I am sharing my screen so that we will see a couple of questions in interviews, how they will ask. I hope everyone is able to see my screen now. See here, this kind of automation questions they will ask in interviews. Like if you consider in Java, what are the difference between double equal and equals method in Java? We have a equals method in Java and double equal operator also. So we need to explain what is the difference. Okay. and explain the concept of Java collections. What are the difference between list, set, and map? So we have covered, right? In Java collections, we have list interface, set interface, and map interface. So we need to explain what are the difference between the interfaces, list, set, and map. And what are the Java streams and how they differ from traditional collections, so that we can explain. So what is the difference between Java streams and collections? So what is the purpose of final keyword? So if you use final for the variable, it will be constant always. We can't change the value. If you use final for the method, we can't override the method. Okay. And if you use a final for a class, we can't inherit the class. So that is the purpose of final keyword before the method or variable or class. So like that we need to explain. Explain the difference between string, string builder, string buffer. So we have a string is a immutable class. String builder is a mutable class. String buffer also mutable class. String buffer is a synchronized. This is a non-synchronized. So we can explain the difference between string class, string builder class, string buffer class, and what are the methods available in string class, string builder class, string buffer class. We can explain. What is a lambda expression in Java? This one I didn't explain. I will explain after some time. Okay. In a high level, lambda expression we will be looking like this. Okay. See what are the lambda expressions. Okay. In a Java, lambda expressions are way to provide clear and concise syntax for writing functional interfaces. Okay. Interfaces with a single abstract method. So normally interfaces are having abstract methods, right? We don't have any definition. So for writing the functional interfaces, we can go for lambda expressions. Lambda expressions can help simplify the code, especially in cases where you need to pass behavior. That means function as a parameter. So in some situations, we need to pass the functions behavior as a parameters. In that situations, we can go for using lambda expressions in Java. So when you need to implement simple interfaces like runnable interface, callable interface, comparator, these are the interfaces. These features commonly used in Java 8 version and above. So current versions, we have these interfaces, this feature, Lambda expression feature. In the context of automation testing, Lambda expression can be used in various scenarios, such as simplifying code when handling collections, filtering data. So what they're saying, Lambda expressions can be used in various scenarios, such as simplification of code, automation code, when handling the collections, and filtering the data and writing the concise logic in your test automation framework. So for this purpose, we'll go for Lambda expressions. How it looks, Lambda expressions. Lambda expression is like syntax is parameters. We will write the within the brackets. We'll write the parameters like a function. We all know functions, right? For every method, we'll write after the method name. We'll put the brackets. The same way here directly we'll put the bracket and we'll mention the parameters inside the bracket and arrow mark. One arrow mark. Okay, arrow function. This we can call arrow function. Okay. So in a bracket, like a method Java method, na, will give method name after method name, will give bracket. Lambda expression directly we can give method brackets, and inside the brackets we need to pass the parameters and arrow function and then expression. Whatever logic we want to write, that is the expression. So lambda expression example, how we can break down. Parameters will write inside a bracket the method and arrow operator. This is the arrow operator. So in the input parameters to the lambda expression, you can pass the input parameters inside the brackets. If there are no parameters, you can leave bracket as empty brackets. So we can write like this. If there is no parameters, we can write lambda expression like this. Okay. And logic. Okay. Code. Lines of code we can write it. Okay. Whatever logic we can write, we can write. Arrow operator separates the parameters from the body of the expression. So this arrow marker, arrow operator, that function, right? That array operator is separating the parameters from the body, means method body. So this is the arrow operator. Okay, arrow function. So expression is, what is the expression? a single expression or a block of code. So we can write a single syntax line of code or block of code, the logic. That is that defines the behavior of the function, that application functionality. So this is the lambda expression we can use in latest versions of Java. In automation testing, you may need to handle collections of data. Normally, while in automation testing using Java Selenium, so we will use the collections classes array list hash map for the data storage purpose, right? For data management purpose. So you may need to handle collections of data such as lists, map, all our collection classes, right? Collection interfaces. So to handle those, we can use lambda expression. Lambda expressions can simplify the operations like filtering, filtering the data, interacting the data, transforming collections. So for these operations, we can use lambda expressions. Imagine you have a list of test data. We have a list of test data, and you want to filter out data that meets certain conditions. So we have a list of data that we want to filter the data based on certain conditions. Lambda expressions make it easier to filter using filter method. So we can use the lambda expressions to filter the data when you have the list of data. So using filter method. So for that, import java.util package we need to import in a class, and java.util.stream. Java streams means a group of characters, right? So Java streams is so we can download this package also, java.util.streams bytes, right? Public class name can give any class name. So public static void main method. So JVM will come to main method to execute the logic. Because this is Java, right? Not Selenium. That's why main method is important. So then we can create a list. List of list. The objects are string type. In a list we are storing the data, right? That is string type of data. So list of, which is a data type is string. The test cases. So test cases, a list of test cases we are storing. So arrays dot as list. So test login, test set, test add. So these are all the test cases. Okay. Okay. Arrays dot as list. So we are storing 4 test cases in a list. And then using lambda expression to filter the test cases names that contain test. So we are filtering the test cases using lambda expression. Lambda expression is nothing but this is only, right? See, test case lambda expression means arrow function and test case dot contains of test. This is the filter purpose, the logic. Whatever test case is contains the test word. Example, test login, test is there. Test search, test string is there. Test add to cart, test checkout. So all the test cases having test. So whatever strings having test, the test cases are having test string, then we can filter as a test cases, right? So list of filtered test cases means test cases dot stream, okay, dot filter of how we are filtering test case. Lambda expression means test case and then arrow function and the logic. So we are writing, and we can use test case dot stream dot filter and then dot collect of collectors dot to list. Again we are converting the streams into list. Here we are storing as a stream, and then we are converting in a list again using collectors. So this lambda expressions using to manage the data, test data like a collections in Java, we can use it. So it's easy. Normal method means again we need to write a method, public void, static public void, some method name and passing parameters and curly braces. We need to write the logic. But lambda expression simply we need to write a function of brackets, arrow mark, and the logic. So that's why this is a very simple way. And also we can use for the easy maintaining the data purpose, the filtering of data. Uh, so transforming of the data. So for that purpose, we can go for lambda expressions. This high level I explained. So They may ask question about mostly they won't ask, but if they ask, you just answer the question. And when you are writing a Java classes, just try to use lambda expression without writing a normal Java method. You can go for using lambda expression also. You can see the output. So explain the use of super keyword. So they may ask the questions. Why I explained lambda expression. They may ask what is a lambda expression in Java, how it is used. So we need to answer the like we discussed now. So explain the use of super keyword. Normally super keyword why we will use in child classes in inheritance concept. From the child class, if you want to call the super class methods, we can go use the super keyword. So we can explain that. So in inheritance, we can use super to call the parent class methods. So what is the difference between method overloading and method overriding? This is a polymorphism, right? Method overloading is a compile time polymorphism. Method overriding is a runtime polymorphism. So how you can do for method overloading? We, in a single class, we can create a multiple methods, the same method name, but we can pass different arguments, different number of arguments and different data type of arguments, like int a, int b in the first function, second function int a, int b, int c, in third function double a, double b. Like that, we can create multiple function with the same function name but with different arguments in method overloading. So method overriding means we have a child class and parent class and child class, like a inheritance concept. That parent class methods we are overriding in the child class. Okay, that we can. The child class is overriding the parent class methods using the inheritance concept. That is method overriding in polymorphism. So what is the significance of hash code and equals method in Java? So you just, if you don't know any answer, I am sharing this Word document with Venkat. He will share with you all. If you are not aware of anything, right, search in Google. You'll get the answer. Okay. It's easy only. If you are not aware of any questions, just search in Google and it will get an answer. More various answers. Okay. This is a method. It will give the hash code. So equals method also to compare the strings, right? So you can see the difference between these two methods. How does explain handling work? Exception handling. Sorry. How does exception handling? That is try catch finally. The try block, catch block, and finally block. So normally try when you use try block, you need to use catch block. To find out the errors, you can use try block. The inside a method, the code logic will be writing right. So we need to cover everything in try block. And inside that logic, if you are getting some null point exception, any exceptions, it will catch. To catch the exceptions, we need to use catch block. Catch exception, some object, exception object, and we need to catch. Then finally block is optional. It is not mandatory. If you want to use a finally block to quit the browsers, to close for the closing operations of your test case, you can use finally block in the exception handling. So we need to explain that way. Then this is an example, simple questions in Java. Selenium, if you go to Selenium, they may ask what are the different types of weights in Selenium WebDriver. As I mentioned, we have three types of weights, implicit weight, explicit weight, and fluent weight. So you can explain those three. We have three types of fluent weight, weights in Selenium WebDriver. And you can say you are currently using explicit weight. No need to explain all these three. Just you can say we have three types of weights: implicit weight, explicit weight, and fluent weight. You can tell the definitions if you want, and you can say you are using explicit weight in your project. Then they will ask if they ask to write a logic, you can write like a WebDriver weight, object creation, and passing driver as a parameter, and some how much time you need to wait for a web element. 5 seconds, 10 seconds. You need to mention driver and some time units as a two parameters you need to pass in a while creating wait object, WebDriver wait object. Like that, you need to write a logic and wait dot until of expected conditions that you need to explain. So how do you handle dynamic elements in Selenium? So in dynamic elements in Selenium, normally we can go for XPath and CSS selectors. locators to inspect the dynamic elements in a Selenium. That you can explain little bit. Okay. So I think I have given some answers also here. See here. Dynamic elements can manage, can dynamic elements can change their attributes, ID, name, etc. to handle dynamic elements. Okay. That means it will change the attributes in the DOM structure. When you are going, I showed right the HTML code, the source code of the page. So there is a arrow button. If you click the arrow button, then if you can highlight any web element, then it will highlight the corresponding the HTML source code in the DOM structure. So there for ID, class, name, the attribute for all these attributes, you have the values, right? ID is having some value, name is having value in the DOM structure, HTML source code. There, dynamic elements, the attributes will change. So it can change their attributes. To handle the dynamic elements, for whatever elements the attributes changing means, we can go for XPath and CSS selectors because these two locators can handle the dynamic elements. So that can locate elements using patterns. Like we can use contains, XPath contains method, the starts with method. So those you can use to find a dynamic web elements of a application using XPath and CSS selectors. So that is how we can explain. And sometimes if you are not able to find a web element, then you can go for the JavaScript executor. Utilize the action class. We have a action class also and also JavaScript executor. If elements are hard to interact, if you are not able to identify any web element in your application, then instead of going for ID, XPath, CSS selector, if you are facing inspection of elements after using these locators, then go for actions class to inspect the element or JavaScript executor. Mostly we'll go for JavaScript executor. If any web element you are not able to inspect using normal locators, then we can use JavaScript executor. Then you can able to find web elements easily. Okay. So that is how we need to answer. So explain the concept of implicit and explicit weights. So you can explain this is absolute sorry. Implicit wait means we need to wait the till until the whole page loads. Explicit wait means it will wait until a particular condition meet. Element to be visible, element to be clickable, element to be enable. Like that, we need to mention explicit wait. You can give the time, wait time until it meets the certain element condition. So like that, we can explain the difference between implicit wait and explicit wait. How do you handle the drop downs in Selenium? I think I have covered, right? We have a select class. Select class is used to handle the drop downs web elements in Selenium. That means in any web application, if you have a drop downs means in Amazon also I have shown, right? Some options will be there. So like that, in any when you're joining in any company, you will have some application, banking application, health insurance application, any insurance applications or some other telecom domain, any applications. For all web applications, we have web elements like radio buttons, text boxes, check boxes, drop down elements. So to identify the drop down web elements under any application, we can use select class. So we have a method select by value, select by index, select by visible text. So we can use those methods of select class to inspect the drop down web elements that you can explain. So what is the difference between actions class and robot class? So you need to explain what is the actions class in Selenium and what is a robot class in Selenium. So you just if you don't know anything, right, just search in Google, you'll get an answer. Okay, it's easy to understand. So all these robot class also when we are going for robot class, right? So normally if you are not able to perform any operations using the normal Selenium methods, then you can go for the robot class to file uploads, file downloads. Then you can this is also like a Java code only, so you can use that code. So actions class also for drag and drop actions in the web application. So for arrow down, arrow up functions, then you can go for actions class. Actions also one of the class in Selenium. You need to explain that. What is the difference between Firefox driver, Chrome driver? So you need to explain. The Firefox driver means we can go for the browser to use the Mozilla Firefox browser. You can use the Firefox driver. For that, we'll use the Gecko driver. So for Firefox, we can go for Gecko driver, and Chrome driver means we can use a Chrome browser. So we can explain the different what are these two in Selenium. Okay. To communicate, to open any application in Chrome browser, we can go for Chrome driver. To open your web application in a Mozilla Firefox means we need a Firefox driver. Because Selenium, the first step is we need a Selenium web driver, the driver object, right? So without driver object, we can't communicate with the browser. That means we can't communicate with the application because application opening in a web browser like a Chrome or Firefox or Internet Explorer. So to communicate with the application which is opening in any browser, we need a Selenium driver object. So for that, for the corresponding browsers, we'll create the driver object. We need a driver. Okay. That is the initial step in Selenium. Without because the driver only communicating with the application in any browser. So how do you perform cross browser testing? That means we can do execution in Internet Explorer, Mozilla Firefox, and Google Chrome. All three browsers we can use to execute the test cases in single project. How we can use, you can explain. Okay. So see, if you don't know any answer, right, search in Google or go to Chat GPT. You search the answer and come up with if you have any still questions. So share with me in a email ID, or you can in the next section, right, you can ask the questions on whatever questions you are not able to understand. I'll give the answers. So how do you handle file uploads in Selenium? So file uploads, downloads, how we are performing Selenium, that they can ask sometimes. So what is the use of page object model? So page object model, as I mentioned, right? For every web page, we'll create the page class. Inside the page class, we'll maintain the locators, the web elements locators to identify the web elements and the page functions, the corresponding example login page. Login page we have username text box, password text box, login button. So those locators will specify, and also the functions means login into login into application with a valid credential, login into application invalid credential. Those are the application functions, right? The page functions, the login page functions. So that kind of functions and page locators will maintain in each page class using the page object model design pattern in Selenium. So like that, they will ask the questions in interviews. So you need to practice all these. So what are the test ng annotations? In test ng, they may ask the questions. What are the test ng annotations? How they are using how you are using test ng annotations in your test scripts. You need to explain. We have a add before method, add before test. You can explain two or three annotations. If they ask a particular annotation, you can explain give the answer. Otherwise, just explain two or three annotations. At before method, at before test, at before class we have. So at after method, at after test, at after class. Okay. So you just explain the difference. So they may ask what is the difference between at before test, at before class, at before method in test ng. So you need to give the answer. What is the purpose of data provider? So at the rate of data provider is an annotation in testng to handle the multiple test data. If you want to pass the test data to test cases to execute, we can use at the rate of data provider in the testng annotation. Because the at the rate of data provider is storing the data in array, then we can pass the data while executing the test case. So how do you parallelize the parallel testing? Parallelized test means How do you do the parallel testing in TestNG? As I mentioned in suit tag in testng.xml, we have parallel keyword. We can give parallel equal to methods or parallel equal to tests or parallel equal to classes. And we can give thread count to 2 or 3 or 4 based on the need. So multiple threads will open browsers. So we can explain that in TestNG. Explain the difference between depends on methods, depends on groups in TestNG. So we can give the difference also. So I think I have given the answers also. I will share this document. So if you miss any answer, you can search in Google or you can ask me in next session, next class. So I have given all these answers also. How do you handle the drop downs? How do you difference between find element and all? Test NG also I have given how we will do parallel testing. Answers I have given here. What is the purpose of data provided in test NG? So data provider is using provide the test data for parameterized test cases. So how to skip test NG test in test cases. So we can give a flag enabled equal to false. We have a rate of test annotation that is specifies the test case, right? So inside the annotation, within the brackets, you can pass enabled parameter equal to keyword equal to false. That means this test case won't execute. If you give enabled equal to true, it will execute. If you give enabled equal to false, it won't execute. Okay. So how do you generate the reports in test engine? So I have given answers also. If you're not able to find a few answers, you can search in Google. So like that test engine, they may ask all these questions. So how do you generate the reports in test engine? We have by default test engine will create HTML report that you need to show while executing the after executing the test case using TestNG, it will generate by default TestNG HTML report. It will have the details of how many test case passed, failed, what are the reasons for failures. It will give. You just go to the Google and check this answer. It will give more answers. Okay. It's a normal execution report. By default, TestNG will generate HTML report. I think last time when I showed the project, right, I have shown the report also, TestNG report. When it passes Amazon to test cases, it is showing a by default HTML report. We open in a Google Chrome browser. That is we need to explain. Okay. So what is the purpose of derivate of class? These are the annotations. Same at before class, at before method. We have a at after class, at after method. So before means before executing every test case, we need to perform some logic which are mentioning in a method under at the rate of test. At before class and before execution test case in a class, we need to perform some logic. So like that. At after class, after test, after method means after executing every test case, we need to close the driver, close the browsers. So we need to mention that. So classes means we need to close the database connections, everything. So like that, we can use the annotations to write some logic. So explain the concepts of parameterization test ng. In test ng, we have a parameters tag. There we can pass the annotations we have that we need to mention. I think I have given answer also here. Just go through it. How can we skip the test cases? Like a test case, the rate of test as I shown, right? Enable equal to false. So we can skip the test case. If you are giving any test case at the rate in a at the rate of test annotation within brackets enabled equal to false means that particular test case won't execute. That means we are skipping the test case. Example, we have some 25 test cases. If 5 test cases you want to skip it, then you can give for those 5 test cases at the rate of test annotation within the brackets enabled equal to false. Those 5 test cases will be skipped. It won't execute. It will execute only 20 test cases. Like for that purpose, we can use skip how to skip in test ng. So this is the test ng questions. Cucumber BDD. If you are, this is also very easy, guys. Cucumber BDD. The concept, everything is same. Only the feature files we are creating here. As I explained in the previous session, right? For every functionality, test cases we are writing in a feature file, right? Like feature name, and in each feature file we are creating multiple test scenarios. scenario name, and then using Gherkin syntax, given the user is on a home page, when user is logging with the user ID and login password. So then user is able to log in into application. So like that, you need to write the test steps using given, when, then, and Gherkin syntaxes in the feature Cucumber BDD. And for every test case, we are writing the one scenario. So like that, for all those scenarios, we are writing the methods, step definition methods. The same way, at the rate of test in Selenium, in testng, we are giving at the rate of test the method. The same way in Cucumber also, we are writing the methods and we are mapping the feature file scenario with example login. So user is navigating user to home page. That is one method. You are writing a one method for navigate to home page. That method you are mapping with the test step given, at the rate of given, user is navigate to home page. That is the test step, right? You are mapping with a corresponding test method, step definition method. Then you can execute using test runner file in Cucumber. We have Cucumber run with at the rate of run with annotation and at the rate of Cucumber options. Then you can mention what features you want to execute and give the path of the feature file. Then it will execute all those scenarios in the feature file. So that the Cucumber also very easy. Just prepare it. Okay. So you can they will ask you what is the Cucumber, how does it support behavior driven development BDD. In see without using BDD, the Selenium test engine means TDD. Okay, that means technical driven development. That means fully technical code you will have in Selenium Java. This is also BDD, the coding in Selenium Java only, but BDD means the feature files. For every user story or for every requirement, we are creating the features and scenarios in plain English, the readable natural language. That is why we are calling for each functional behavior driven development. We are creating a BDD framework. It means feature file creation, scenario creation using Gherkin syntaxes. That is how we can say behavior driven development will be useful so that all stakeholders who are non-technical high level management, they can able to understand about each scenario, each test case, what's happening in the project using BDD framework, because everything it is written in a plain English, so everyone can able to understand. If it is not a BDD, the technical Selenium Java code they won't understand, right? High level management, only automation testing team can able to understand. Whoever having Java knowledge and Selenium knowledge, other management, the vice presidents, the test managers, like example I'm saying, who are non-technical, right? They can't able to understand what is happening in the project because TDD means fully technical, the coding. The BDD means along with the BDD means we are writing the feature files, scenarios, and we are writing in a plain English. What is the feature? Feature means the requirement, the business requirement. What is the behavior of the functionality? And scenario, what is the test case scenario? We are writing in each English only, plain English. That's why everyone able to understand when you are creating BDD framework. Nowadays, the market, most of the clients using BDD, Cucumber BDD. Explain the roles of given, when. So these are the annotation, sorry, Gherkin keywords, right? Given, when, then. Okay, all are keywords to writing the test scenarios in feature file. What are the difference between Gherkin syntax and regular expression? So you just go through it. This is also very easy only. How we can, what is the difference between Gherkin syntax and regular expression? How do you implement step definitions, Cucumber? That means methods. For every test case, we are writing methods, right? That we are writing step definitions. We are calling step definitions in Cucumber. How do you handle data tables in Cucumber? So like that, you just go through the answers. You can able to understand. Then you can come up with the questions if you have anything. So API testing, if you are adding a API testing experience also in your resume, then they will ask you what is API testing, how is different from our web application testing. So RESTful, explain the RESTful architecture and principles. How do you test REST API using Postman tool? The Postman is a, I will explain one day simply using Postman tool. How we'll do API testing. This is very easy. We'll have like XML files or JSON files. We have two types of APIs. SOAP APIs, REST APIs. For REST APIs, we have JSON structure, like a key value pairs in the curly braces. That is the JSON structure. SOAP API means XML structure. All tags, XML tags will be there. The request response. So APIs are nothing but interfaces, right? Application programming interfaces. So before application designing, right? Or even though application is designed, so for every functionality to design a new page, it is very time taken process. That's why banking applications, insurance applications, right? They will use more APIs, application programming interfaces. That means they will hit the request to the server. It's a client server technology. The request sending from client mission to server mission. Example, your application is in client, your local mission. The data is in a server mission. So if you are asking some data to get back, so you need to send a request from client mission to server mission using the APIs. For that purpose, API testing is a famous. So I will explain one day. Okay, what is how we can do REST APIs? What are the SOAP APIs? So what are the methods? We have a post method, put method, delete method. So different types of APIs, method APIs in the REST APIs. So like that, I will explain anyway. We have the response codes. When you are sending a request from client mission to server mission, if you are getting the positive response, the 200 code will return. Response will return 200 code. If it is a error means some internal server error. If you are not getting the response from server, 500 error, 500 code will return. So 404, some data issues or some forbidden issues, it will go. It will give the corresponding error message. These are the code messages. For successful response, 200. For the bad responses, 500 or 400 or 404 like that. So these are all like API testing. I will explain one day. It's very simple only. For that purpose, right, we are using a Postman tool. SOAP UA. We have two tools, many tools in market. Most of the development team, testing team go for Postman tool. Postman tool, it is like a desktop application. No? We are passing in the Postman tool the requester and we are passing endpoint URI. That means server, to which server we need to send a request. So request in XML format for SOAP API. REST API means JSON format. So after giving a request in the body, I will show a Postman tool. You will able to understand. Then the response will be getting like a 200 code or other error codes means if you are not getting a response, it will throw the error 500 code, 404 code. So for that purpose, we are giving the URL also, right? Where is the server machine? For that, we need to give the URL. We can say endpoint URI. So I'll explain that one day. So these are the API questions. So I have given the answers also. In Java, what is the difference between double equal operator equals method? Double equal is a reference comparison parameter. It checks if two reference point to the same object in memory. Okay, the difference between method and operator, what is that? Just go through it. If any question, ask me. It's memory management only. Okay, how it will when we will go for double equal operator, when we will go for equals method, what is the purpose? What is the difference? Java collections, what is the array list? Array list when we can use it and when you can go for map, key value pairs. So like that we have given what is the string builder, string buffer class. What is the difference between? So we cannot modify string, right? Immutable. can modify builder, string buffer classes because it's a mutable object. So like that, it's very easy only. Just go through the questions, and these are theoretical only. You can understand, but you want to get the hands-on experience means you need to practice in Eclipse IDE all these concepts. Okay, so please practice daily basis before attending the interviews, and also in interviews, right? Interviewer will check your example whoever doing interview, right? They can easily understand whether you are having a theoretical knowledge or hands-on experience. If you are not practicing, right, when they're asking a small logic, you couldn't able to write the logic while screen sharing. They will ask you to open an online editor or to open a notepad, or they will ask you small questions, code logic questions. They will ask you to write a small code. So if you're not practicing, you can't able to write it, right? Then they will reject you. Within 10 minutes, they will find you are a fake experience person and you are not having hands-on experience. That's why we need to practice thoroughly, okay, in programming, Java programming and Selenium scripting. Otherwise, you can't able to crack the interviews. So I hope everyone gone through our training videos, are able to understand the concepts, and you can start. I think already started practicing you all. So keep practicing so that you can crack easily the interviews and you'll get the jobs easily. Okay. So that's it today. So if any questions, right? So I will explain in the next session, next class. So I will also explain this one API testing in a single class, right? API, what is API testing? Using Postman, how we will send the request to the server. I will explain that, and also I will explain another concept also, the Cucumber BDD. Like I shown Maven project, right? The same way we can create the Maven project using Cucumber also. The same structure. Additionally, we'll have the one folder for future files. I will show that also one day. Okay, so please keep practicing.
వెంకట్
So,
గారు,
yeah, Sirisha, go ahead.
I have a quick question అండి. What is the difference between uh, page object
Mhm.
model in Selenium and Maven project? There is something pom.xml. I did.
See, that is a Maven. See, I think last time also you have the same question, I think. See, pom.xml is nothing but in Maven, you are building a Maven is a builder, project build tool. Okay, you are building a project proper structure. That's why we are creating a Maven project in Eclipse IDE, right? So the pom.xml is nothing but that is not a page object model. The pom.xml is nothing but it's a XML file. Okay, there you are passing the dependencies. Example, the tools, right? Example, you are using Selenium, Java, TestNG. If you are using Cucumber, all libraries. You are giving what version of Java you are using in your project. Java 20 version, 21 or 17 version. You need to give artifact ID, group ID, dependency tags. In pom.xml, in Maven project, you have at the end of pom.xml and the resources, I think. There, if you open it, you will find you need to add as I shown, git a Maven repository. I showed one day how to find corresponding tool dependencies. If you want to find the dependency for Java, dependency for Selenium, dependency for extend report, dependency for log4j, any tool, Cucumber, TestNG, it will give the dependency information, dependency tag, artifact tag, what is for say TestNG, artifact ID, group ID, version number. So everything dependency information will be there. You need to use those dependencies in the pom.xml. Why we are giving means all these libraries, right? Dependency means the functions. That means in TestNG what classes, what functions, methods we are using in your project. In Selenium, what classes are there, what functions we are using in Selenium in your project. So we need all those libraries, right? Maven dependency. If you are after giving the dependency tags for all these tools in pom.xml, after saving the file, pom.xml file, you can able to find a Maven dependency folder. There you have all the jar files, all libraries, all the tools, functions. So those are all used for, we need, you are giving, right? When you are writing a code, you can able to, if you are not downloading all those libraries, right, functions, you can't write import that packages, you can't write it unless it is downloaded in your project. So that is the reason we need a Java libraries and Maven dependency libraries. And also if you need any other third-party tools also, I showed one day in a Java build path. In Eclipse IDE, we have a project build path. There we need to go for external, add external library. There for any tool which is not available in pom.xml, then you can search there. You can add, you can download from internet. You can add external jar. You can select the jar file so that it will identify in resources libraries. Some extra folder you will get for the third party packages, means libraries. So this pom.xml is nothing but it is all libraries for your tools, right? The jar files. It will be downloaded so that you can able to write the code for the corresponding tools. If you are not downloading all these libraries, right, then you can't, it will throw error that library is not available. So we need to, then only we need to install the packages. So otherwise, you can't write import the package name, something like that. So that's why pom.xml is a proper, all libraries, it will downloaded to build a proper project in a proper way. But page object model is a design pattern. That is a concept. Why you are using a design pattern, page object model means for every example in Amazon now we have a login page, home page, and product page. So like that in every application we have multiple web pages, right? For every web page we are creating a single Java class that we are calling page classes. That's why in the Maven project, I have shown the folder name pages. Under the folder name pages, a package, we have multiple classes. For every page, we have created one single Java class. Example, home page and results page, search page. So for every application page, right, we are creating one page class using page object model. Why we are saying page object model means after creating each Java class for every page. In every Java page class, we need to maintain the corresponding page locators. Web elements will be there, right? In every page is having web elements, the page elements, like text boxes, radio buttons, every page. So to locate those, we are need to maintain all the locators in the page class and the to perform the operations on text boxes, drop downs in that page. We need to write the page functions. So every page class is having the corresponding page locators and page functions. So that's why every page is having one class in page object model. Then when you are writing the test cases, right? We have I have shown in the Maven project test folder. Under that we are creating a test cases classes. There you need to import the page, import the package pages dot the corresponding page, home page. Then in that at the rate of test annotation or in that class, right, test case class, you need to create an object for the page, home page class, object creation, then object dot you are calling the home page functions. So after creating an object for the home page in the test case class, then you need to call the home page classes, the methods I'm saying, functions. So that is how this page object model will work.
Oh,
Why we are
I
creating page object model means one thing, last thing, to easy maintenance. Otherwise, you need to duplicate the code in every test case. If you are writing a page class one time, for every page, you are creating some. You have in application, you have some 5 web pages or 10 web pages. You can create 10 classes. But in every test case, you are not duplicating the code. You are just creating the page object model object and the page class object. You are calling the methods from the page classes. So the code is reduced, right?
yes.
There is no duplication of code. and easy maintenance also. If any changes, directly you can go to page class. No need to come to test cases classes. That is the reason page object model is a useful
Thank you,
design
Andy.
pattern. Okay.
Thank you, Andy.
Yeah. And also, if you have any question, I am telling you once again, if example, if I am not available, you can drop me email. That's okay. You can also search in Google. We have a chat GPT. See, nowadays, right? I'm telling you, everyone, artificial intelligence is very popular nowadays. Every client is not clients. Every IT organization is maintaining their own AI product, which can perform the creating the test plans and also performing some 40 to 50% of automation code, because all those are linked with Google, some data sources like Google or any other application sources. Then nowadays, right, if you have any question, you can go to ChatGPT, if you go to Google, because we know the concepts, right? When you are before learning Java, before attending the interview, sorry, attending the classes, you are new to Java, you are new to Selenium, whatever tool, but you know the concepts now. So for every question, if you have any questions, then go through the Google or ChatGPT. It will give more information, but you need to search properly what answer you need. That we can give prompt engineering. You can give the context. What question you need to ask the Google? What question you need to ask ChatGPT? Then it will give the proper answer. Okay. If unless like example, if sometimes if I'm not available, right, you can try that way. Or next coming classes, I will give the answers if you have any questions. So definitely everyone will get questions. When you're practicing, right, you will have plenty of questions. So please start practicing. Okay. See, now I am in my company, I am doing daily now also some till automation manager position also, automation lead interviews. So I'm asking this kind of questions only. I am also rejecting many people. Why means they are not practicing, because in the resume it is showing 10 plus experience and 15 plus experience. If they are not able to explain basic questions, like what is a, I will ask you where you used a overloading concept, why you are using. So if they are not able to answer, if they are not able to write the code right, so definitely interviewer will reject the employee. So that's what I am saying. Please practice it. Okay. Compared to theoretical knowledge, we need the theoretical knowledge to explain in interview, but coding knowledge is very important. Okay, in the interview, and once you join a job, right, you need to write a code in as an automation tester. So please start practicing and continue. Okay, guys. Thank you all. Happy weekend.
Thank you, Andy.
Yeah, welcome.
What is your email?
You can ask Venkat KVR dot
Can
one
you
second.
post it in the chat, please?
Yeah, sure. I think he forwarded my email ID to you all. I think the materials. I think he already forwarded all this. See, KVR dot automation testing at the rate of gmail.com. I think you might have received the material from this email ID. Venkat forwarded my emails to you all, I think. I will mention in group chat.
Is it kvr.automationtesting at
Yeah,
gmail.com?
yes, yes.
Okay, so Venkat, I might need help. Like, I got my new laptop. I'm still
Okay.
struggling with the downloading Java, JDK, and Eclipse.
In the
So
first
basically,
session, anyway, I will help you, but in the first session, right, before starting
no,
the
this
Java
is a
concept.
MacBook M3 chip. So basically,
Okay, you are
I'm
using Mac, huh?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So that is why I mean, like, I know, like,
Mac,
we have
the
to.
process is different.
Mm-hmm,
And you do one thing before I will show you anyway, because we are not using Macs. So
mm-hmm,
mostly in offices also we are using this uh, Windows only, like Windows, Linux, whatever.
mm-hmm,
For Mac is easy only, but you do one thing, just go to ChatGPT, okay? Just type how to configure Java Eclipse in Mac. It will give you proper instructions. Try it, otherwise I will give in next session. Okay, I will
Okay,
show
so
you.
if it is Venkat, if it is quick, please let's do it. I mean, not today. I mean, whenever you have time.
Yeah.
But without that, I
Uh,
am not able to practice anything. I mean,
you
I'm
don't have
sorry.
any Windows means normal laptop?
Yeah, I did had Windows like I used to use before, but the thing
Okay.
is, nothing supports on that. It's like very
Okay.
basic.
I will do one thing. Tomorrow I will share the steps to Venkat to
Mm-hmm.
email.
Mm-hmm.
He will share with you all in Mac how you need to configure Java, Eclipse, and Selenium. So he will explain. Means I will share the steps to with you all. Just
Mm-hmm.
follow the steps. Still, if you are
I mean,
facing issue, next.
I will try to follow it, but definitely, I mean, like, if
Why
it
means
is.
I need a Mac machine if I want to show you. That's why I
Mhm,
will send the steps to you. Okay.
mhm,
Then you
mhm,
can try from your side. It's easy only. Then if
mhm.
still if you are facing issue, you can share your screen and show me next session.
Yeah, so basically, I have sent you my email,
Okay.
monksdiva23@gmail.com. So if
Okay.
you can send me these steps on that, it would be really
Yeah,
helpful.
yeah, definitely. I
Yeah.
will send you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome, welcome. You're always welcome. So
Mm.
please start practicing, okay, before attending interviews. Okay. Thank you all.